Ready?
Okay.
All right, it is 4 o'clock, February 27th. I'm calling this meeting of the Coffee County Planning Commission to order. The first thing on our list is approval of the agenda.
I'd like to amend the agenda.
Okay?
I want, under other, I'd like for us to take a look and approve a training statement template.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do I have a second on that?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Anything else? Do I have a motion to approve?
I
this?
move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second?
Second.
Ms. Carroll seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, Cindy. Okay, we're going to move to public comments. I want to make one comment on public comments. Nick Northcutt is going to be speaking on our zoning change.
Okay.
And I'm gonna let him speak down there if nobody has any objection. And,
Has the list that signed up, I don't know if anybody signed up back there.
what's that?
On the list.
Oh, does anybody have any comments? Yes.
Yeah.
Would I be allowed to hand something out for y'all to look at so you can understand what I'm talking about briefly? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't make it in time for the agenda for this meeting, but I thought I would come up and see if this was so simple.
Would you identify
we would
yourself,
need-
please?
My name is Richard Chastain. I live at 198 Hickory Ridge Lane, Normandy, Tennessee, but it is in Coffee County. It's out on Riley Creek Road. We've lived at our location, which is highlighted in blue, for the past 22 years. At the edge of our property runs a road that was created by Dr. Beals back in the 80s or in the 90s, excuse me, to facilitate some tracks that he wanted to sell to give him a buffer between Hunter's Ridge subdivision and his farm. He was trying to prevent another subdivision from coming in right next to where his home is. His home is about where I've written Beals in large letters and underlined it. That's about where his home is. So we lived there. Mr. Blowers has lived in his residence. That house has been there 25 years. Mike Ship's been there his house has been there 20 years. Eddie Barton has been there about 18 years. We share the use of that 30-foot right-of-way that comes off of Riley Creek Road and services all these homes. We own that road. It is a private road. We have a road use agreement in place, as Dr. Beals was told to do back when he created the road. Each person that touches that road pays $250 a year for maintenance. We've got about $12,000 in there right now. At one time, we spent $33,000 to actually have that road paved. Tinsley came out and paved it for us. So the road's in excellent condition. Actually, the road is about 14 feet wide, and then there's about 8 to 10 foot on each side before there's a fence. So there's quite a bit of clearance there. What I'm here asking about is my son, which is Jay Chastain, has bought 7.5 acres, and R. Chastain have bought 7.5 acres, just to prevent somebody from buying it and subdividing it. But we're also going to build one home on it. The home I'm in right now is too large for my wife and I, so we want to build one where R. Chastain is, and my son wants to build one where Jay Chastain is. When we had the time to come up here and ask about a building permit, we were informed that the road size had changed. The access size had changed since this road was made, and it went from 30-foot width to 50-foot width requirement. And so we were not allowed to get a permit until we had a 50-foot easement all the way to Riley Creek Road. If you look at the hatch marks, Steve Bills is going to have to grant us an easement for the R Chastain track along the side of the right-of-way for Hickory Ridge Lane. And for Jackson Chastain, he's gonna have to go on the other side of his barn and come all the way across the back of both properties to reach Jackson Chastain. What I'd like to ask is, since we didn't create a new road, this road is existing. Steve Bills followed all the rules about having a road use agreement in place. There's utility easements down through there. Everything's working great. We all understand that we have to pay to maintain this road. It's marked as a private road. And unless these other people that were on the property have a problem, what is the possibility of us being able to continue to use that road for access to these other two lots, because it's an existing road? And I will say that Steve Bills has been paying his share. He's been paying $250 this whole time to access from that side already. So I just don't know if it's wording that we've got confused, or I just don't know if it's anything we can do to make it where we don't have to have Steve Bills grant us two easements. The fear is, if he does, and then Jackson sells someday, somebody could come in there and put a road out the back of that tract and go all the way to Riley Creek, and there's nothing we could do about it. We're trying to control the road and keep it accessed on that side.
When was this done? When did all this take place?
Okay, Steve decided to sell some property, I'm gonna say 2 years ago, these two tracks. And my son bought the first one immediately. And Alex Butod bought the other one. He's the director at Life Care. He decided that he wasn't gonna build, so they sold to they had it listed and sold to a person in Memphis. And we were a little concerned about what's going on, but we do have restrictions, minimum square footage and type of building, all that stuff's in there. So he came and he built, started a barn, Mr. Prater, on the one that says R Chastain, the empty lot. He built a building there, and then the snowstorm hit. And his wife decided she was not gonna live in Tennessee anymore if she's gonna be house-ridden for a week. So they picked up and went to Florida. So he listed the property, and we decided to buy it just so that we would know who's gonna be there, for my son's property and for everybody involved. So we've purchased this tract in the last few months, this tract that we've got. And I've been talking to Kurt along the way about these easements and all this. And, you know, everybody encouraged me to come up here and just show y'all what it is. And maybe there's something we can do without having to do these easements over Steve Bill's property.
I know the road. It's a good road.
Dennis, you are a member of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Is this not an item that needs to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals?
It can very well, but with all due respect, I'm glad you finally got to an agenda item, because I think we're going to discuss that, and public comment is restricted to agenda items. And down the line of our agenda, we're going to look at changing our 50-foot to 25-foot, which I think is the most reasonable thing to do. So, having said that, I think the Board of Zoning Appeals can probably address your particular problem, since you do have 30 foot. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually, we have precedent regarding that, because at our last Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, we did that. We granted a variance for a 30-foot. The only question, I think, is because this road serves multiple parcels, that could be something we'd have to look at. But that's been a pet peeve of mine ever since I've been here, is I think our 50-foot easement is excessive. And I don't think I think we need to look at it. So,
Well, I did find out that Riley Creek is only 40 feet, so
you'll find
that's
that
a
all
very
through
busy
the
road.
county. You'll
Yeah.
find that all
Yeah.
through the
Side
county.
roads
That's,
everywhere.
yeah, grandfather.
Public roads or.
That's why I asked you the date on all of this. When
Yeah,
all this
well,
was happening.
we built in 2001, moved in 2002. and then the Blowers house was there before us. The Ships was the same time, and Eddie Barton was about 2 years later. So we've all been there since, about 20 years, all of us, give or take. But then these other tracks just came up for sale recently, last few years.
Could be lots of record too. Very well could be.
So are you telling him to go?
No, I'm not telling him to do nothing.
Uh,
I'm just making comment.
Well,
Do y'all have any recommendations for me?
Yeah,
We recommend.
our codes office can recommend what you need to do from this point forward, but we appreciate the input.
right.
It helps us.
And, if you want to speak again, when we get down to that point, if there's something that you get a little jingle from, we'll let you speak.
Okay,
again.
I'll say. Okay, thank you.
But I think what they are saying is you might wanna go to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else want to make a comment? Any other public comment? Okay,
This is my wife Melissa, Robert Howard. We live at 2574 Woodbury Highway.
okay.
The problem we have is all the land around us has been sold to the state. And Daniel Powers, he promised me 50 feet from my line out, and he sold it. My septic tank and our utilities, your power line, and everything is on that property. So I don't know where that leaves us. And he was supposed to have sold it to us, and then he turned around and sold it to the state, and kind of leaves us.
He kept telling us, it's yours, do what you wanna do out there, do what you wanna do. Well, we had gravel poured and we parked stuff out there. Bobby has a semi, that we park there, and we have motorhomes that are parked there, that we own, that we use. But now we're on the state's property where we parked our stuff because that's what we were told. It's yours, do what you wanna do. Build what you wanna build out there, is
And
what
he-
we were told.
When he fenced it all off for his pasture and everything, he measured from my property line over 50 feet, and he fenced it off that way,
3 sides.
3 sides all the way around my property. And he said, it's yours. I said, well, let's get together and I'll pay you for it. He said, well, can't right now because I got a lien on it. He said, but we'll get together and we'll take care of it. Originally, he was gonna sell me 25 acres, and that would have solved the whole problem. Then he said his daughter wanted to build a house out there, and then he come to me and he said, well, she wants to build a house out there, so we're gonna have to hold up on this. I said, okay. I said, well, I really don't need that much, as long as I've got some more land all the way around my house. So he fenced it off, and it's still fenced, 50 feet from my line, all the way around my property. No, 50 feet, from our property line to his fence. And he said, that's yours, do whatever you want to with it, we'll get together and make a deed. And next thing I know, it's been sold. So I'm just left holding the bag.
I'm gonna make a statement, and if
Yeah.
anybody disagrees, please chime in. I wish we could help you, but that's gonna be a civil matter, in my opinion, between you and Mr. Powers. There's nothing, we don't have any jurisdiction over anything like that, and I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
And no written contract or anything.
No, we had a gentleman's agreement. Actually, he come to me and asked me, because I'd cleaned it up, and he'd let it grow up, and I'd clean it all up, cut trees down, and paid Keith Trail to cut some trees down and take up some stumps and whatnot, because he said it's my property. And then whenever it come time to settle on it, why, it was a different story.
Originally, it was both fields on both sides. It
Yeah.
was all the way to the creek,
Yeah.
is what we agreed to buy from him. We've been there 25 years, and that's what we originally agreed to buy from him, was all around us down to the creek.
So we spent money to improve this land.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know anything about him selling it until it was way too late. He already had a contract with the state.
And even, we spoke to him, February 22nd of '23, and then you all already had, all this was already in the works to be sold to somebody, the state or whoever, and even at that time, he was still telling us, do what you wanna do out there, it's yours, it's
Yeah.
yours.
Well,
And-
it wasn't y'all.
That's
Well,
correct.
no, no,
We-
no,
we
well,
didn't have
I'm
a
just
hand in
saying,
that.
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
I
I mean,
understand
it
that.
was the state, yeah,
Yeah.
but he
But
I
was,
understand what
understand
we're,
that.
we're saying too, we don't have any jurisdiction in a case like this. This
Okay.
is
So
simply
tell
a
us
civil
what we need to
matter.
do,
Do, ma'am,
then tell us what we need to do, who do we need to
I'd say
see?
get a lawyer.
get a lawyer, I suppose. I mean, I hate to say that, but like I say, it's gonna be a civil matter.
Well, we
between
just-
you and Mr. Fowler.
we just, I come from Kentucky. I actually moved here from Florida, and she's from Pennsylvania. We didn't know anybody here, and so we're just little people in this town. And so it's kinda hard to go up against some people, I think, you know, so.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say, one of my constituents that lives in my district, called me, he's evidently befriended you, and discussed this issue with me. The way I understand it, it's your septic field, your
The leach
septic
field,
field lines, not the
Right.
septic tank.
Not,
Correct.
it's just, right.
Yeah, I would say, in my opinion, the state of Tennessee TDEC department might have to look at it, and maybe you might have to eventually move your field lines. The chances of that mega site moving something in right there next to you is practically zero. The biggest part of the construction and development will be way over in the center of that. I'm gonna say, if you just went on living your life, nothing would ever happen.
Well, that's.
If you want the property,
No,
if
I
you
don't
want the
really.
property, you're gonna have to
Have
get
to.
a legal, put a legal team together.
Well,
Right.
I agree, you know, I really, it's not a concern about the property, it's just that I'm concerned about my lynch field and, something being built real close to me.
Is it, yeah, I don't think that'd happen.
But
That's
they-
my opinion, and for what that's worth, that and a buck will buy you a cup of coffee.
Well, they, come out there and surveyed it, and on the upper side of it in the picture there, they said they had 24 acres they were going to block off and start building, I understood him say it was a TCAP, maybe a training center of some sort, and somebody out of Nashville had come there and, was paying this guy to survey all this, and they were gonna put a building there.
That was about 3 weeks ago.
That was about 3 weeks ago.
And they surveyed the front of our property as well. I didn't understand that.
We can't help you, not the,
Yeah.
not cause the
I'm
county's
sorry.
planning commission.
We don't have
can't
any
help you.
power.
Okay, well, never know till you ask.
Good luck.
But I appreciate your all's time, though.
Anybody else? No more public comments. Okay. We will go on to the approval of the previous minutes. If you guys had time to read it, does, anybody have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Have a motion from Carol.
I'll second.
Randy Harrell seconds. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous again, Cindy. All right, election of officers. It's that time of year, so I will, take nominations.
I
Which
nominate-
officer are we starting with?
President.
Chairman.
Do you still want to be chairman?
Do I?
Do you still want to be chairman?
You know, Dennis mentioned last year when after we'd already voted that he wouldn't mind having the chairmanship. That doesn't bother me a bit in the world, but I'll continue to serve or be glad for somebody else to serve.
I can weigh in on his comment. I don't have a problem serving as chair. I actually serve as secretary right now. And because I'm self-employed and my business is right here in town, I'm pretty accessible. And Cindy calls me all the time to sign plats. So I don't know who else would be willing to take secretary, if Steve would or anything, but I'm perfectly okay staying as secretary. If
Well,
that
you've
affects
done
the
a very-
nomination process for the chairman.
Well, you've done a very commendable job as secretary, I will tell you, through a couple of really rough patches, by the way. We got other people sitting here at this table.
I'll make the motion to leave Steve as the chair and Dennis as the treasurer,
Secretary.
or secretary, I mean, I'm sorry.
He's done a very pretty
Say, we don't,
Yeah.
we
Secretary.
don't,
Yeah, we don't trust him with
We
money.
don't have any
Yeah.
money.
I second that nomination.
Yeah.
all right, I have a motion to leave things as they are. Is that what you're saying, Sammy?
Yes, sir.
And I have a second. Is there any discussion about that? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous again, Cindy. Everybody did say aye, didn't they?
I abstain because it's inappropriate to vote for yourself.
No, it's not.
We don't
I
care.
bet both people running for president, or all of them running for president, vote for themselves.
Absolutely,
2 or 3 times.
yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to one of our favorite things, house moving with Rook.
Yes, my name's Rook Morgan, Morgan House Moving. I've got a 24 by 54 home. I'm gonna move to Harpo Road for Mr. Ware, Jason Ware.
You the one that got the house set up on the blocks and ready to be moved on 55?
Yeah, that's going to Willie Crowley, yeah, that one is.
Yeah, I've seen that house a while ago.
Yeah, you got it off Mr. Taylor.
Is that's going to, all the way to the back of that lot? Is that the way that is? Am I looking at that wrong?
It's the one highlighted, right, Cindy?
Which way is it facing?
It's gonna face the road, but like I said, it's gonna be about middle ways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's not another structure there. It must be, it's gone now. You just got a camper and some outbuildings there. It's all there now. I believe one time there might have been a double wide there years ago.
I know where that's going.
Yeah, Harpo.
I make a motion to approve this house moving project to 1506 Harpo Road.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? I have a second by Randy. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous again, Cindy.
Thank you.
Ruth, you can just stay right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
You got
yeah.
another one, don't you?
Yes,
This is 81 Rock Road?
yes, it's a 24 by 48 frame home. I'm moving for Willie Crowley.
Where's it?
He used to have a mobile home there on that lot, and a tree fell on it. There's nothing there now. Maybe he's got like a garage there.
What's that business right there?
That's that filling station, isn't
That
it?
was the old service station in Red Crowley.
Yeah, they got,
Oh, yeah.
And then Ann Powell's Market was right across
Oh,
the road.
yeah,
yeah, they got a
Yeah.
mechanic shop there now.
yeah.
I don't think there should be much discussion, but I'll listen to anything you got to say, but I'll take a motion to approve it.
A motion to approve it?
Rodney makes a motion to approve it. Do I have a second? Ms. Carroll seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous again, Cindy. Thanks,
Okay,
Ruth.
thank you so
Appreciate
much
it.
for your
Good
time.
luck. The next item is the site plan for Watson's Metal at 2425 McMinnville Highway. Do we have someone there for Watson's Metal?
Is this an add-on to
Yes,
what they
we do.
already have?
Yeah.
Is this an add-on to what they already have?
Well, that'd be fine. Put some light eye out here. What this is, they were this building over here on the right-hand side is where they build their trusses, and they've got lumber and everything that they keep on the outside of that. And they had asked, and I'd gone through this with Kurt, but they want open storage over here. This area is concrete now. It doesn't change anything with the plan. That was just circulation, and it would continue to be that, but they're trying to protect some of their lumber, get it out of the weather is what they're trying to do there. So that's all this consisted of, was adding about 8,000 square feet, the 40-foot wide by 200 back, just open storage area to keep their lumber out of the weather. It doesn't change the storm water or parking or anything like that.
What is the side yard setback on this?
It's a 25-foot, and you'll see it right there. There's about 5 feet between the building and
Gotcha.
that setback.
Any discussion on that? Any questions for Kenny?
Is that all you got for this facility? Is that
That's
you
all
do?
for this.
I make a motion to approve.
Got a motion from Dennis to approve and a motion from Rodney to second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I
Try to be on time, Dennis.
chastise.
Yeah, unanimous again, Cindy. The next item is the site plan for volunteer court, map 095, parcel 0483.30. Anybody here, is that you too, Kenny?
That's me.
Oh, okay. I like the way you did this, Cindy.
I like the way she stacked that.
Gets them together.
She knows what she's doing.
So this is, for an office warehouse, a 10,000 square foot warehouse and 2,000 square foot office for Deal Construction. It backs up to the posted wetland area, there behind it. All the drainage currently goes in there now. And there's, it's a pretty rough piece of property at the moment, but, they're basically wanting to clean that up and go ahead and get everything, up to code with the building, with the asphalt and concrete and everything for that. But the drainage here, we talked to Kurt about this. We also talked to, and it's already been approved by the industrial board, but just allowing this water, it's a minimal increase anyway, but we didn't want to starve the wetland area from the water that's flowing to that currently. So actually that's something that TDEC doesn't want us to do either, so. But the drainage would continue to flow into the wetland area there that's posted behind it.
Any other questions for Kenny?
That's the parcel right at, pretty much at the end of
It is.
volunteer court,
It is.
isn't it?
I motion to approve it.
I have a motion from Rodney to approve this site plan. Do I have a second?
I second.
Randy's gonna second that. Of course, it does say that, and I hadn't been reading that out, I figure y'all can read it, but it does meet the requirements and staff recommends approval. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Kenny. Another unanimous, Cindy. The next item on the agenda is the Autumn Woods, 1544 Old Hillsborough Highway, Roten, major subdivision plat, and this is the final plat. Do we have someone there from them?
Good evening. I'm Tom Orr. I'm the land surveyor for this project. We have 5 lots total. There's residents on one of them though, so it'd be, if this is approved, it would result in 4 new houses. It's over on Love Lane and the Old Hillsborough Highway. It's kind of right behind the truck stop, a block over, country block over, you might say. Zoned RS1. I don't think we have any zoning violations here. Kurt's been good to work with us. We've also coordinated with the State of Tennessee environmentalist to get his approval. And you can see some of the hatching on there where he's directed we could put drain fields for our septic tanks. We came to you about a couple months ago for preliminary approval. This is now final pass. We're looking for approval to move forward with this.
Dennis,
Where that says barn, that's actually that old house, is it not?
It is, they kind of use it for a barn. And so it's hard to know where it's going to be taken down. It's,
Where'd the root go? I'd like to see him move that in one piece. There's a lot of people that use that for photo ops. It's a pretty neat old house, actually.
the developer does intend to take it down.
Dennis, you know that place?
I know
well as
all
a-
about the property, it's where Joe Robertson lived, his,
Oh, is it?
Joe
That's-
and Mary.
Yeah, that's, his kids doing
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
yeah.
So is anything gonna happen on the other side of the house?
No, sir.
Looks like there's enough room to get a parcel off of it.
Ground's no good. It may be low over there.
Too
On
low,
that side.
doesn't perk, yeah.
Okay.
To where it probably wouldn't work for septic and drain field.
Thank you, Mr. Orr. Any more questions? Dennis, you want to make a motion to approve it?
Yeah, I move to approve.
Got a motion from Dennis to approve it, second
I'll
from Ms.
second.
Carroll. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll thank Kurt and Cindy for the work they did helping us get through this.
We'll thank Cindy, we can
Yeah,
thank you, Kurt, for
thank
that.
you, Cindy.
Kurt's only as good as Cindy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
He hinders her a lot.
right.
All right, now we have the site plan for Garrettson Stone. Scott, how are you? I need to say something. I have had a conversation with Frank about this. Kurt kinda sent him to me.
Frank who?
Do what?
Frank who?
Yeah.
I'm Frank Garrettson, and I own stock, the rock yard on Highway 55. Scott's helping me, I guess Scott needs to talk, but what I've done, we're trying to build another building, right, we have a little small outbuilding now, and I'm trying to build another building to take its place. It'd be better for my employees, not just get washed away or blown away. But what we keep running into is on the, also when you come off of Highway 55, but Derek's want me, he want me to pave or asphalt concrete from the road all the way to my building. But if you can see on my plan, right through the middle of where it needs to concrete, is where my trucks just run over constantly. That's where my trucks come in and out to drop off materials, and my loaders run right in the front. So I was coming to ask if there's anything else we can do. Scott's done my platform and everything, but there's no way that the concrete or whatever I put there is gonna hold up to the tractor and trailers that run over it constantly all day long. It's just kind of a waste of money, for one thing. I know I know, you know, you got a job and you gotta do what you gotta do, and I understand that. But it's kind of, it just throws my whole business out the window with that. For the fact that it will never ever hold up with the tractor and trailers running over it all day long, and the loaders going across it all day long.
So that's a pretty good picture right there. His existing sales building, which is a small little shack kind of right in the middle of the site. He's proposing to step behind it, build a 30 by 40
30 by 40.
building just behind it. He's proposing to put his parking area, including handicap parking, right next to this new office building. It would be in concrete, it would be concreted for the handicap as well as the remaining spaces there. And you can see from the aerial on the tax map, all of the stone product that he has at the front of the site as well as around the perimeter of the site. So that's kind of where he has his display, but what he sells, all along the frontage of the highway there.
Can you
So
get up
that's-
there and show me where he's wanting you to put the road?
Sure. So-
Where they want you to come in and put the road?
So this is the main entrance here off the highway. This is where the proposed building will be located. Parking would be adjacent to it. So it's really, I think, I've not really been involved
Right
in
there, you got it,
discussions,
you got
but,
it right there.
but, you know, the concern or to meet the exact intent of the code is to pave from this point in to the parking spaces at the building. But that is where his trucks come in and out, drop stone, pallets and so forth, and that, along that line.
So paving wouldn't work, are you saying?
With the, on cross where you come into the thing right here, when you come in,
Uh-huh.
the trucks go right through here. If they come in this way, they come over, they go this way, then they come around the back, and they'll circle back out.
Oh, yeah.
Or, and everybody else that comes in through here, the loaders go all back and forth across this all day long, as well as
yeah.
tractor and trailers coming through here all day long. I mean, I understand that I need to pave around the building and even maybe in the entrance, but right there in the middle, it would just kind of, there's no way it could ever possibly hold up with the tractors and trailers run over it every single day. And plus the loaders, with what I deal with the pallets, the forks on the loaders, when they come in, if they bounce like that when they went across something, it'll break the pallets too, so it just kind of counteracts anything that I'm trying to do.
This is the second time tonight of one of my pet peeves. I just feel like that there are land uses that our requirement for either asphalt or concrete is excessive and just doesn't work. I really wish we could change that because you don't see,
He can tar and chip it. He can tar and chip it.
that'd be even worse for his
Well,
operation.
it probably.
I've got a question. When did David Brown fence that and put a gate and driveway up?
No, I don't know, as long as I can remember.
I think it's grandfathered,
Yes,
is what I
it's
think.
grandfathered.
I don't think you should have to do it because you're
If
grandfathered.
it is grandfathered, he can do it without.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was grandfather, that's what they told me over there.
Yeah, I don't think, and you can expand, add on, you can increase your footprint on that property. You just can't extend the property to extend your operation.
Building
So-
a building is not,
Right.
you can
Extend.
You know,
do
we
that.
went through this
Yeah.
with Steve up there in Hillsborough and all that. So
Yeah.
I think my personal opinion is I would vote to approve a site plan that does not require concrete or asphalt.
Just
That's my position on it, because I feel like your grandfather, because that property's been used. I know when David Brown did, it was several years ago. I think it's before 2006, and that's where this document
That's right.
picks up.
If it can be grandfathered, I think it can go just like it is.
And I appreciate it, I mean, I'm not trying to be black and white, but it's like saying Rogers Group, all their dump trucks coming in on asphalt,
Mhm.
you know, if they had to do it, it just won't hold up. You know, just throwing money out the window, money that I've got saved back from my building, that's what I try to tell Kirk, is it'll cost me in concrete, what it's gonna cost me to build my building.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I can't, it's just, I can't sustain that.
Yeah.
But I appreciate any kind of help y'all could do, I mean, I would really appreciate it.
So just go like he's,
I don't know if he
If we
needs,
approve
it
this part of
says,
it, if we
for-
approve this part, he's still got a punch list he's gotta go through.
yeah, there's a technicality, it says awaiting update on
But
this
he said-
agenda
but
item.
Kurt's- But
So,
Kurt did say,
yeah.
if we pass this paving or not paving or whatever, Kurt can do the rest of it himself, and it will not have to come back in front of us, because the building's less than $5,000.
Yeah.
So I'll take a motion if,
Well,
somebody-
approve this as a grandfathered facility.
yeah.
that does not have to meet the requirements?
That doesn't have to go before the Board of Zoning Appeal. We can do that right here, can we
Yeah.
not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will,
I'll make a motion that we approve this site plan as presented, less concrete or asphalt. You can use it as is my motion.
Very much, I appreciate it.
I'll second it.
we got a motion and a second. Do you want to add anything to that as, such as it, we're doing that because it's grandfathered in?
That is because it's grandfathered
Okay.
in.
Include that in the motion, Cindy, if you would. I've got a motion and a second from Rodney. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Okay, the next item is a preliminary final plat on Spry Road, Espy.
Michael Ward, surveyed the property there. So we're looking at taking 2 existing 6-acre tracts and dividing them up into the 4 approximately 3-acre tracts you see there. Should meet all regulations, TDEX signed off on the soils. You see the shading there. And then the track 1 has an existing residence on it.
I vote we approve it. It says it meets requirements. Staff recommends approval. So I'll make a motion to approve it.
I've got a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a second from Randy. Is there any more discussion? Dennis? Sammy?
Which 2 lots is it? That is, what, 3 and 4?
Well, no, it's 4 lots, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
And they're all 3 acres or more, or something like that?
Approximately, give or take.
Okay. I've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous again, Cindy. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, the site plan for the cell tower 5050 New Manchester Highway.
I'm Donnie Bell with Southern Towers, and we're proposing a 290-foot self-support tower here. I think we had this approved a few years ago, and unfortunately our carrier had hit a spot where they needed to hold off on it for a little while, so we're back again asking for approval to construct this tower. I think we meet all the setbacks for it. I know we worked with planning on it.
Where is that?
See Rose Hill down at the bottom there?
Yeah, I want to scoot over and get out of the glare.
It's Herbert Johnson property.
Hmm.
Herbert
In-
Johnson property.
Meets requirements and the staff recommends approval. Any questions about this?
Nope.
You still looking, Dennis?
No,
You-
No.
You good?
Yeah.
I'll take a motion.
A motion to approve.
Rodney moves to approve it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Randy seconds it. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bet you didn't think it was gonna be that quick and easy, did you?
You never know. I know the logic, thank you.
All right, now let's have some fun. Zoning resolution change the easements of access from 50 to 25 feet. If you all remember, we asked Nick to do some work on that, and Nick's here. And Nick, you want to come up and give your presentation, please? You'd even dressed up for it.
Yeah, it's got on a suit
I
jacket.
feel a
I'm
little
impressed.
underdressed.
I know it.
It's okay, Rodney, I'll be dressed like you when it gets to hot weather. So will Sammy.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, first off, I'd like to thank you all for, the opportunity to speak to these issues, that I think if addressed could greatly, help, some of the property owners in Coffee County. I think what it boils down to, is the people's use of their property, but it's not just use, it's smart use. There's a lot of people that, don't like to see this much growth in Coffee County, but I think it's no longer a question of if we're gonna grow. Not only are we seeing an influx of people from out of state, California, New York, but, the mega site just closed that deal. I also speak with a feller at the big wig out at the base that said that they're about to hire 1,000 new engineers and skilled laborers to come work at the base. So the question is not if we're gonna grow, but what type of growth do we wanna see here? And what type of growth will conform to the values of the people of this community? So, when talking about people's land, I tell all of my employees that 9 times out of 10, when we're dealing with somebody's land, we're dealing with their most valuable asset, and that they must treat it with the gravity and the respect that it deserves. Many of you sitting at this table are farmers, and y'all understand better than anyone, about using your land and the value of your land. But for everybody else that's not a farmer, their land should also work for them too. For somebody that's not a farmer, it's understood that the value in their land is the ability to divide and the ability to build on it. And that's where I think our current codes are, I feel like could use some revisions. This is where I think our current codes are preventing people from being able to use your property. I think that just with 2 changes to the current easement law, we could make a big difference. One of them is for existing lots of record and existing conditions. The other applies to new development. The first would be this, 25-foot easement that we have been talking about. So currently, there are lots all over the county that just simply do not meet the 50-foot requirement. I feel like there needs to be provisions to help those people. This is where, I agree with Dennis that there should be allowances, like you should be able to get less than 50 feet in the case where the person cannot meet that requirement. I don't feel like you should be denied use of your land because your, 30-foot easement existed prior to the adoption of this code, which is what I understand the new, the way they're kind of approaching this with the BZA now, that, there is a pathway forward with that through variances and whatnot. So I do see how getting down to 25 feet could be a benefit in offering flexibility, but I think that we need to be careful for that, and I don't think that the 25-foot all the way across the board is a good thing, and I'll tell you why. When I first started my research into this matter, I was in full agreement with Dennis that 50 feet is excessive, that to access, a 1-acre building lot, you don't need 50 feet. I mean, there's 30-foot county roads with full pavement surface and utilities and everything. So to require somebody to have 50 feet for one building lot, my initial gut reaction was that that was excessive. However, after a lot of time and research and kind of soul searching on it, I have come to believe that the 50-foot requirement is a positive thing. Because it's the only thing that is going to stop an outbreak of flag lots in the county here. So if you would, Cindy, will you pull up that one that says Beech Grove Acres, the one that you just showed? Yeah, that one. Okay. I did not do this subdivision, but this is very typical of ones that I do. When somebody is dividing up an acreage tract of land to go to auction, this is very typical. They cut it into 5-acre tracts, and then they auction it. So if you would go to the one that says 66 lots, Cindy. So this right here is what you would be able to do if the 25-foot thing goes through. Now, you gotta realize that this is coming from the guy who makes money splitting lots, you know? So the more lots I split, the more money I make. But when I take my surveying hat off and I put my Coffee County residence hat on, you know, like, I don't feel that this is the type of development that would, you know, conform to our values. This is 66 lots without having to build one road, without having to extend one water line, without doing anything to account for storm water or anything. And a developer could purchase this at auction and would be within his right to do this development right here, just like you see it. And I would be obliged to do that for them if this is the way it were written. So you can already, our easement laws are already actually pretty lax. And you could already do a similar development like this, but you'd lose probably about 1/3 of the lots. So something like this is still possible, but it would be aggravated, if you will, if we're allowed to get down to 25-foot easements. So as a planning commission, you're tasked with the hard task of figuring out how to walk the line between helping your average Joe that just wants to carve off an acre for their kid to build on, you know, but at the same time, not giving a developer something that can be exploited. In Franklin County, you know, they'll allow up to 4 lots to be served off of one 30-foot easement. And, you know,
I thought
some
that was
people-
state rule anyways.
Hmm?
I thought that was state law anyways. Off a 25-foot easement, it was 4 houses was the max the state would allow off of one.
I was not aware of that. You know, but some people think that, you know, the way Franklin does it is a good thing. You know, some people think that it kind of creates these pockets of houses, you know, that are, you know, less desirable. In Bedford County, there's been so much abuse of the flag lot that they have done away with the flag lot altogether, and their minimum lot width, period, is 100 feet. Their side setbacks are also determined, like if you're one of the lots that's in the back, your setbacks are actually determined by the house that's in front of you. Like, so they do not want houses behind houses, and so they've just done away with the flag lot thing altogether. So while I originally agreed with what Dennis was bringing up, and while I do agree with what he's trying to do, you know, to help people use their land and to give people more flexibility with their land, I don't think that the 25-foot thing across the board would be a good thing. The second thing that I was going to bring up that I
Can I stop you just a minute? Go back to the other view, please. No.
66.
I need you to explain using numbers. What's the little tit sticking out? We're gonna assume this is oriented to the compass. So the northwest corner. What's that little sticking out there?
I think
It's
it's
top.
that was,
where it comes
That's
out.
existing.
that was an existing right-of-way that was,
That is how wide?
well, at least 50. And probably a little more than 50 at the road, probably next down.
84.
It says 50,
64.
64.
Okay, all right. Now back to your drawing. So each one of those easements go through, starting at the south side, which is road frontage, right?
Yeah, the
So
south.
all the way across the south side of that drawing. So those are 25-foot easements that go back to those little lots?
Those little squares.
You got that pointer? Alrighty, so for each one of those lots, you can create you can get 4 lots out of each one of the tracks. So you would have a 50-foot flag stem right here that would go all the way up to your third lot. And so, of course, you got your road frontage lot. But
Yeah.
within the 50-foot flag stem, you could have a 25-foot easement that ends here that would serve this lot, another 25-foot easement that would go up and serve the back lot, and this lot would actually own the strip. So for each of those 5-acre tracts, I could split it into 4. As it stands now, you could probably split it into 3, doing the same thing that I'm
Yeah.
doing here.
But that would be 4 houses on a little bit over an acre each, right?
No, those were 5-acre tracts. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
each one would have almost an
Yes.
acre,
One and
which is a
four.
pretty good sized lot for a house, an acre.
Yeah, that's spread out.
The issue with this is, though, is that you're putting 66 lots in and avoiding any major subdivision requirements. And I'm also an advocate for the developer, and building county roads to county standards is becoming less and less attainable because it's so expensive to build a new county road. You know, so I'm all for, finding, ways of developing property, but like, I don't feel like this is the ideal way to do it.
But that would put 66 lots without the county having to spend a dime on roads.
Correct.
They would have to keep up their own driveway.
That's correct.
Otherwise, we would get a road that we would have to maintain.
If they built it and dedicated it, yes.
Yeah.
So this would actually be the cheapest way for the county to get 66 residents into the county.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
But where this is not beneficial is, even just strictly from a water and stormwater standpoint, like there's not being any infrastructure put in other than, so I mean, if you add 66 houses and 66 driveways, it's gonna create runoff for people downstream. It's gonna happen. And so this way you are like completely skirting any major subdivision requirements, and you would be within your right to do that.
I personally, appreciate all the work. It's like, I feel like you've took my tic-tac-toe game and made a Rubik's Cube out of it. And it's, probably, in all reality, if those are 5-acre tracts, like Rodney said, that's a pretty big chunk of land. That's what you said these were, you're drawing, using this particular parcel, right?
This is it right here.
So, as far as stormwater runoff, all of those are things that are approved are addressed during the approval process.
Not on a minor. So somebody could get that development and do them one tract at a time. Or if they wanted to do them all at once, they could sell every other tract to a partner. And then they could come in with every one of these and split them into 4 and keep them under minor subregs for every one of those and put 66 lots like that on there with doing nothing.
Yeah.
So the only really major problem that you have would be the water. But I mean, for the county, they would get 66 tax-paying lots without having to add any road or any expense for the county. But but the water would be the big concern.
Looks like a Lakewood Park to me. I'm sorry. It looks like a Lakewood Park to me when you do it
I'll
like
take
that.
that over Lakewood Park any day.
Well,
5-acre
same.
parcels as opposed to 100-foot by 100-foot
Dennis,
parcel.
5-acre parcels divided into 4.
So it's over an acre each.
Yeah, it's over an acre
But
each.
Okay.
the restrictions per those lots would determine whether it would end up looking like a Lakewood Park or whether you had restrictions for house sizes and exterior wrap and all that stuff,
True.
which we would vote on, right?
Do what now?
Which we would vote on the size of the restrictions on the lots and
Well,
things.
they're already in the zoning resolution.
Yeah.
The lots and what's required, the requirements are already in there. We've been doing them for years, but,
I can see not putting too many houses on it. There might need to be like a house maximum you could put on a 25-foot lot. Like you don't want it to go back and have 4 people using one 25-foot access.
I don't think
Well,
that, I think he circumvented that in his
Yeah.
example. Every single lot in that drawing has one 25-foot easement, correct?
Either road frontage or 25 feet.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So,
You're talking about the 25-foot easement going back. Let's say it goes through a property back to 2 or 3 houses through a property. How you gonna get electricity back there?
Underground. And plus, if the person that sold the lot gives you a easement through, I mean, you only have to get 40 feet from the new pole,
You
20
gotta
feet
have
on
40
each side.
feet. You gotta have a minimum of 40 feet.
Right. But it's the person who's selling the lot
Stuff.
back there gives you the 40-foot
Yeah.
right of way. Or you can go underground on your electricity, and you don't have to have an easement
Right,
for electricity
but I'm just
then.
saying though, but that's another issue you have to think about. Is a person gonna get a 25-foot and then also 40-foot for an easement?
More than likely, they'd include their 25-foot in their 40-foot.
40, into the 40, I think. But, go ahead, Nick, and finish your presentation. Is that okay?
Yeah. Well, so the second thing that I think would really benefit the folks here would be to allow multiple acreage tracts to be served off of one easement. Now, I know the first thing that's gonna get thrown at me is Lewis Perry Lane and General Breckenridge. Like, I'm aware of the problem children and, you know, some of the reasons that we have the current codes that we have, but I wanna differentiate the difference between this. There are already working models of this practice that are done in Rutherford County and Williamson County currently. What they will allow is for, with acreage tracts, you can, if it's 5 acres or larger, you can have up to 5 tracts off of one right-of-way. So one guy would own the right-of-way, there would be an easement across it that could serve up to 4 other parcels. But they have to be 5 acres or larger. So why I think this would be particularly beneficial is for places like Beech Grove and places like Normandy, where topography is a major concern. So Randy doesn't know I'm gonna call him out here, but like on your property in particular, I drive past it frequently. You got about 2,000 feet of road frontage. Where could you get a road in other than where you've got a road? Like, you couldn't unless it was a 20% slope.
Right.
So the way the code is currently written is you have to either have 50 feet of frontage on a county road or you have to have an easement that touches it. So what this creates is it causes people to have to do like a 50-foot strip or a 50-foot easement that won't be used, will never be used, couldn't be used if you wanted to, but it meets the requirement. Like basically it meets the requirement, but it's not practical and it's not efficient. Would you show that other flag lot pic, please? I think it just says flag lot. So this is the type of thing that requirement encourages. So you've got all this land in the back, you've got minimal road frontage in the front, so everybody's gotta have something crazy that goes out to the road. And I'll bet $100, everybody that goes to those tracks back there is probably using that gravel driveway that you see on there that they probably always used for years. In Rutherford and Williamson, you know, you're able to develop these acreage tracts off one easement, but it is subject to Planning Commission review. So if somebody wanted to come in with one of these developments like I'm proposing, you would have to approve it, and that would be your opportunity to put in place, yeah, keep that one up there. That would be your opportunity to implement a maintenance agreement, if that's what y'all deemed was necessary. So I guess actually go to the one that says Rutherford County Large Lot Division, please. This was one Mr. Bruce here did. So here's an example of a large lot division that's using one right-of-way. One of the tracks owns the strip, and in this case, 3 others get to use it. But they'll allow up to 4. So, you know, it's gotta be a 50-foot easement, and, you know, here, I guess while I'm just showing you this, here's an example of how this works, how it can work. you know, one thing that we do frequently is we're asked to divide farms, you know, once somebody has passed away and we're trying to satisfy a will. Go back to that one that says, seriously on it. Yeah, that one. So if you inherited a piece of land, like if we had to divide this land up amongst you and your 4 or 5 heirs or whatever, is this how y'all would want it to look? Like, this is a grossly inefficient way to meet the requirement, where you could do this exact same picture that you're seeing there. You could do that exact same picture and have one road that goes up and serves the tracks. And rather than a bunch of, you know, flag stems that are just out there just to meet the requirement. Show the Burks thing again. So here would be a great example of how this easement, you know, multiple tracks on an easement would have really helped out Mr. Burks. I know some of y'all are probably familiar with this situation because he's cut out multiple tracks in there. He's got multiple easements crossing over to get to these lots that he has carved out for his children. Now, in his mind, you know, I think he started with 40 acres, and in his mind, he wants to give 40 one-acre lots to 40 heirs, you know, 40 kids and great-grandkids and everything. Well, that's not necessarily attainable, or that's not necessarily possible. So what has happened is he's got multiple easements going back to
Squeeze
these
that in a little
parcels
more.
where, you know,
No,
the
squeeze
more,
it in. There you go.
yeah, so he's got all these easements on there, but everybody's using the same road. They're using the same road that's been going to that old cemetery for 80 years or something. And nobody's complaining about the road. So a more efficient way of being able to cut this place up, he might not be able to give 40 kids 1 acre each, but he could give 6 of his kids a piece of land. One could have road frontage, 5 more could be able to, you know, I mean, that's a prime example of how this could have helped and avoided the easements. Now, another train of thought would be, oh, well, if we did 25-foot easements, well, he could do, you know, he could cut off more lots back there because he's got more room for more easements. But to me, that just makes the problem worse. Now you're getting, you know, instead of 3 easements across there, now you've got 6 easements crossing his property that nobody's ever gonna use, that nobody could use, and it makes the rest of that chunk of his land unusable, you know, just to meet the requirement. So, you know, going 25 feet and picking up 3 more lots on his property, I feel like it would make his situation worse rather than better. So anyway, I think another byproduct of considering this large lot division thing would be that it would encourage larger tract division in the county and, you know, hopefully keep the smaller lot divisions in the city areas. But anyway, in conclusion, you know, I would think that we've kind of thrown a lot out here to be considered, and that I would be willing to do a study session with y'all and answer any questions that you might have about it, or, you know, anything that you would want to know about how some of what I've proposed here would impact properties. You know, I would be willing to do a study session if y'all, you know, did not want to do the vote on this thing this evening. So anyway, I appreciate y'all's time on this, and any other questions that you've had about, you know, what I've just spoken about, I'd be willing to answer any questions at this time.
We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yes,
it.
that's
It's
a lot of
work.
time.
Thank you for all your work.
Yes.
Lusk property back up there.
Thank y'all.
I would like to use this as an example that actually precipitated my interest in this. What I consider a real problem is, if you look, I always like to say Tennessee's not Kansas. If you go to Kansas, every parcel out there is a square block. If you look in Tennessee at our Tennessee property viewer, the maps, we have so many ice cream cone shaped properties. This particular property that fronts Jernigan Branch Road, I forget, Nick, do you remember the exact frontage was it like 250 feet?
I think it
Was
was
it
around
even
100
that?
It was around 150 or just a little bit over that. There was just enough room for 3 easements.
Yeah, so our 50-foot requirement, because this man, wanted to divide and give kids, which he did do that, he's got a couple in there. He ran out of property that fronts our public highway, 50 feet, which is, all 4 lanes of our interstate's only 48 feet wide. And we require 50 for an easement, which is permission to use somebody else's property. You just have an easement is you're driving across something that you don't own. That's what an easement is. And this particular case, it was pretty emotional for the property owners, because the people are paying us taxes. It's their property, and they have to go into this office like all of us did this week and pay our property taxes, but yet we can't let them do what they want to do. And I always thought this was one of those reasonable ones. Now, what I affectionately called a Rubik's Cube, one of those situations, I would definitely like to see that we could prevent that. I don't know, I think Nick has given us quite a bit of food for thought on this. One other thing I would like to say is Tennessee, TCA, Tennessee Code Annotated, addresses what people like to call landlocked parcels. That means you have a parcel, you've wound up with a parcel that you don't own a way to get to it. The only way you can do it, if you can't get your own agreement worked out with the property owners that surround it, you have to go to a court. You have to go to court, and this judge will make a determination based on, I don't know what the criteria for his determination would be, but he picks a landowner and say, you are going to allow this individual to access his property, and that judge cannot issue more than 25 feet. A judge a sitting judge in the state of Tennessee can't allow more than a 25-foot easement, yet we require a 50-foot. So that's what got me started on all this. That cemetery used up one of the easements on this particular driveway that's coming back there. So, I would think that there's a compromise situation where individuals, I wish our BZA could, our BZA turned these people down twice, I think. And I really thought we could grant a variance based on topography, but we didn't. But that's all, Nick brought a lot of good stuff to the table, and I'm glad he studied it. That's all I have to say right now.
Well, I done a little research, particularly for what was coming before the BZA the other night. I talked to Sam about it. And the lots of record with a 25-foot easement, there is a way to do that. And by the way, the 25-foot easement and a judge deciding it can only be 25 foot, that is to minimize the damage to the property owner that they're crossing. That's all that 25 foot is to minimize that. And that's just for egress and ingress. It cannot be a public road.
Right.
It says that in our codes. It can't be a public road, and there's gotta be some kind of maintenance agreement. 2 or 3 years ago, they also added some language saying that if that easement falls into disrepair, the landowner that has given up that easement can reclaim that easement. It's just, in other words, you've got to keep it up and you've got to maintain it. But we've had a problem with some people on easements that had lots of record, lots that were in the plan before we had zoning. And so I asked Sam, I said, how do you do that? He said, well, you really can't. He said, talking about the planning commission, he said, what you do is that owner of that lot goes to get a building permit and they get turned down. And I don't like that it's this way, Dennis, because I don't like to see people have to spend that money. but then they have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Board of Zoning Appeals really doesn't have to grant that. However, the next step is court. And almost 95% of the time, the court always is going to give you the use of your land in some form or fashion. I think the Board of Zoning Appeals did a good job of that the other night. And that's not going to be the last one, I'm sure, that you're asked about on that. On a small easement like that, on a 25-foot easement or any kind of access like that, I said, what about lowering our standard from 50 to 25 feet, okay? First of all, to change our standards, and I guess you already knew this, but we would have to vote on it, whether we recommend it or not. It'd still go before the county commission if Dennis or another commissioner wanted to go. It has to have a 2/3 vote to change the standards. I didn't realize that. And whatever you do on an easement like that, you've got to write that easement so the county is not harmed. Because we have, and I asked Benton to be here tonight, you have several situations, do you not, Benton, where somebody wants you to take over a road that you just can't take over. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, how long it can,
And your minimum standard is 50 feet, right?
for a county road, yes.
For a county road. Okay. But anyway, I'm very careful to change anything in the zoning resolution simply for the fact that I went through all that in 2006 and I know what it entails. But the way it's set up right now, I understand your point, Rodney, about more houses is more tax dollars. Sometimes that's not always the best. Sometimes those tax dollars don't cover the education, the schools, and everything else.
Yeah, ask Murfreesboro about
You know,
that.
yeah. But I think that it would behoove us to have a work session. Now, Dennis, if we have a work session, it has to be public too, correct?
I would think so.
I would think so too. I would
Well,
like,
if we're deliberating,
I would like to see us get Nick and maybe Scott and maybe Kenny back in here and sit down and have a work session at a time when everybody could be here. Now, that's just my idea, and I'm only one of 7 here, so anyway,
you have to be careful. TCA requires anybody advising the planning commission. It's got pretty strict training requirements. You need to read TCA regarding the planning commission and the training requirements for any individual advising us, which Sam definitely has the credentials for,
Right.
So, but I would take issue, it would not require a 2/3 vote of the full legislative body to amend the zoning resolution. It says right here, in our own zoning resolution, the planning commission approved by, this is under amendments to the resolution. If disapproved here, receive the favorable vote of a majority of the entire membership of the county commission. That would be 10 votes.
we will check that out, but we're changing.
Somebody has written in this page right here, it says 2/3 favorable vote required.
I think that was written in for something else. I don't
Yeah.
exactly know what it was, but these little notes in some of these books.
And it
you're
says
gonna have to
C.
put on somebody's memory.
So that's why I would question because actually, anything we've ever sent to the full legislative body, to my knowledge, with a favorable vote, has never got anything less than a unanimous vote.
Unanimous vote, that's correct.
So I think it'd be a non-issue if all of us agreed on something here.
Well, this is a major, to me, is a major deal.
My point, right quickly, I don't need to keep talking yakking, but the 50-foot easement would allow somebody to spend money and then go to Benton and say, take this road over. If we took it down to 49 feet, that would eliminate that possibility. And even Sam said, he said, I really don't like to see subdivisions ingress egress based on easements. But that could happen the way we're set up right now.
Right.
And long as they long as they curb it, pave it, and do everything they have to do back here on 300 acres, and then all of a sudden Benton gets the request to take it over, and he's almost has to if they meet requirements. And
Well,
we got an easement.
Benton, how do you approve, if somebody asks you to take over a road, do you watch it being built? Do you check, don't, I guess the old way was to take a bucket out there and dump it to see what was there, right? To measure the depth of the blacktop and all that, isn't that the way you usually do it?
There's a couple of stages that goes through. When they get, ready to put field dirt or in, I need to be out there to proof roll that field site. When the road gets on grade, I need to be out there to proof roll the whole road before any stones put down. Then the stones put down, you usually get tickets. And they're always available. Tickets to see if, if that kind of jives. The amount of rock should have been put out there. And I've always got to proof roll it before we pave it. That's what's supposed to happen. It doesn't always happen, but it's supposed to. And since I've been here, there's not been very many roads built in the county.
Right.
But these that have been lately have gone out there and done that.
My whole point in this is I don't wanna see us move sideways or backwards. If we're gonna grow like everybody says we're gonna grow, we need to go forward, and I think we need to remain solid in our standards. Now, that's, like I say, I'm one of 7, and so glad that you've heard me and you heard Dennis. Somebody else speak up.
And you've heard Rodney.
Yeah, I heard Rodney. I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rodney.
I can understand both sides. Like Nick said, where I own, I got 2,000 feet of road frontage,
Can't get in there.
but mainly got one big ridge. The rest of it's hillside, down towards the road frontage, down the hill down through there. Like I say, I mean, I've seen a lot, of course, I work in Rutherford County, I've seen a lot happen, especially over the last couple of years with growth. And I've seen some things that, you wind up with houses on top of houses, then you wind up with issues with the driveways, you wind up with issues with the septic. Prime example is one that was out there off Jefferson Pike. They went in, did like a subdivision in there. The county wound up having to buy some of the houses out because of the flooding. Because of the runoff from the subdivision got down and flooded back part of it and stuff. And like I said, I mean, I can see the point on both sides, and right now, honestly, I don't know which way to go on that. But I mean, I just don't want to see Coffee County basically wind up like Rutherford is. I mean, and like I said, I work in Rutherford, been working down there for 37 years. And I've seen a lot of change. And but like I said, there's places that now that you've got subdivisions going in, and basically the houses are on top of each other. And like I say, I don't know. Coffee County's always been my hometown, my home county, and it's been a rural area.
That's changing.
And that's changing and everything, but I don't want to see it change too fast. It's going to happen. I mean, it's bound to happen. People down there around Beech Grove where I live, you can already see it happening. People's moving in left and right down there and stuff. But like I said, I just don't like the idea of, like Nick was talking about, the flag lots. going in. You have 5 acres and divide it into 4 acres, 4 lots and stuff. That's where I'm kind of getting concerned about and stuff. Now, like I say, I mean, there are situations just like out here on Jernigan Branch. I mean, I don't know how. Like I said, I'd like to have the work session and stuff and see if we can't figure out a way to compromise. I mean, and stuff on some of the, I mean, it's kind of, like I said, I can see the 25-foot for a situation like this, multiple family owned and stuff. But then I can also want to stick with the 50-foot. Because, I mean, like I said, I don't want the flag lots and all that coming in. And stuff. And I mean, it's, like I said, I still like to know more about it.
Carol?
Yeah, and I think we need exceptions. We can say 50 and then with these exceptions
If you've
in
got
situations.
if you've got a lot of record, and it's a keyhole lot, and Sammy, where you live down there, or your relatives live down there, you see a lot of them. That's a lot of record, which that means it's a lot that was formed before zoning. Then we know from talking to Sam that we can allow somebody to get a building permit in there. If someone comes in this county and buys 100 acres behind 2 farms, he better, in my opinion, they better buy a 50-foot right-of-way, because that's not a lot of record. It's funny because this instance has come up. Guy called me and he said, I got 50 acres. And he said, but I only got a 25-foot right of way. I said, did you buy that away? And he said, well, I had to buy the 25-foot right of way. He said, the person that sold it to me said that would suffice. I could do anything I wanted to back there. Okay? Well, I said, you didn't do your homework, I mean, that may not sound fair, but it's not fair that land on Ragsdale Road next to the city brings 35,000 an acre, and land on my end of Ragsdale Road brings 10. I mean, but it's, sometimes it's location, but, I would like to see us have a work session, study this more. If you guys wanna go ahead and vote on it, we'll go ahead and vote on it. So I'll take a motion either way.
Mr. Cunningham, did you say I could speak if something rang my bell during this?
Yes, sir.
I would just like to say, I can't believe all this stuff is being talked about tonight. I had no idea that all of this was gonna be on the agenda, but it's kind of ironic. One thing, I know he mentioned larger tracts should be considered a little different than all these smaller tracts. And I will reassure you that we have restrictions, only 1 house per tract, and it's 7.5 acres each one of these tracts. We have minimum square footage of 2,400 square feet. So with Rodney talking about tax dollars, that's gonna be a pretty good impact of taxes for no work on Mr. Bartlett and his department. I heard the guy mention you need a road agreement in place. We did that. We have a road agreement in place. This was done in the 90s. I even heard a date referenced as 2006 for the previous gentleman using that lot and not having to comply because he was before 2006, which we were too. We were in the 90s. I've always wanted to be a grandfather, and I am one. I have a grandson. But I would really appreciate a grandfather in this situation, just like the other guy received. I thought I'd mention those things. 'Cause it chimed my interest. I'm like, ooh, can we be grandfather?
Come see this lady, you need to come see her tomorrow, and get on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
Correct. You think that's, Dennis, you're the Board of Zoning Appeals guys, if we go that route.
Yeah, he needs to
Be on-
apply for a BZA referral, correct?
Well, if he's grandfathered in,
When were those lots created?
The lots were created in the last 3 years. The two
okay.
lots.
He's got a 30-foot road and we're trying to, that's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
BZ.
We're requiring 50. our zoning resolution says it must be 50, and that's the reason he's here. And, because he was told he had to have 50. So you need to come back to office,
If he
pay
would-
your fee to come before the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I think we'll address it there.
I think you'd have got your grandfather if they'd have been cut before 2006,
Right.
the lots.
He's got
Yeah,
lots of record.
Yeah,
Yeah,
once a
lots
lot,
of record.
once a lot of record has been divided, it's not a lot of record anymore. That's the deal.
Since 2006.
Since 2006, that's correct.
I personally, I would not recommend anybody making a motion to make any changes to the
Right.
zoning resolution tonight.
Tonight, right.
What about a work session? Do you guys wanna do that?
I think that definitely needs to happen,
Yeah.
because there's a lot to think about. He gave some great points.
Yeah.
And knowing Nick, he can probably come up with some more
The
too.
fact of the matter is, we're dead center between Chattanooga and Nashville, and we're gonna grow, and it needs to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna stop it.
No, we're not gonna stop it. It's, like I said, look at Beach Grove.
There's money from California coming that we can't stop.
No, I went to a meeting in Noah, back 6-8 months ago. There were 200 people at a potluck dinner at the Noah Community Center.
That's all.
Over half of the people had been in Coffee County. They were all from Coffee County. Less than half of them had been here 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish I had
Oh,
Miss
yeah.
Willis's land to sell them.
It's gonna be hard. Do you know Bob Willis is
Let me tell you
dying? He doesn't want
Hey,
any
Rodney,
houses. No.
Bob Willis wouldn't even sell his
Oh.
favorite niece acre land.
That's true.
You were talking about the California. We looked down there, like I said, I work in Rutherford County, Consolidated Utility. We have noticed down there that half of the people that's coming in and getting water service are from California. And it's unbelievable. I mean, everybody's coming in is from out of state, not just California, but also Indiana, Illinois.
Well, you can't
Oh,
blame them. Look
and
at our
stuff.
taxes.
Right,
look
and
at
that's the
everything,
reason.
The view, everything.
As long as they
So-
don't vote.
So like you say, it's all coming, and Rutherford County,
Oh,
right now,
they're
all
a
the growth
mess.
is on the north side and also the west side. Most of the growth is. Some on the east a little bit. There's not a whole lot down towards Manchester Highway. Chevelville Highway has got a bunch of growth going
Oh,
on.
yeah.
The growth occurs.
Manchester Highway is gonna be next.
Yeah,
The
well, you
growth
got
occurs when the
Swanson,
next big farmer passes
There's a
away
huge-
that doesn't have heirs that want to farm. It's that simple.
there's a huge builder buying up Beach Road right now. I mean, I'm not gonna say his
Swanson?
name on, yeah, that's, I wasn't gonna
Okay.
say it on here, but
Well,
yeah.
yeah, but he's also got it up for sale.
Okay.
He's already got a bunch of it up for sale, so.
All right,
But like I say, I mean, it's coming this way.
back to business.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine. Discussion like that's good.
Hand those two down there, please.
Do we want to set up a work session?
I'd love to.
Okay, you want to make that motion?
A motion to work session, I just don't know when it's available for everybody.
We'll get Cindy and Kurt to figure that out with Nick and maybe Scott and them and go from there and give us all a date. You want to second that motion, Sammy?
I'll second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second
Oh, Sammy, do Sammy.
to set up a work session. Any discussion on that beyond what we've already had? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, Dennis opposes it. I had a feeling it was coming.
Difficult business.
I know it, I'm telling you.
Hey, don't knock Dennis.
Everybody loves
I have
Dennis.
reasons.
All right, Dennis, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
No, we still got an agenda.
He's got
item.
another
Oh.
one, other.
He
Oh,
has
we
a
got a
other.
other, okay.
Yeah, other.
All right.
Oh, that's right.
quick, as Secretary of the Planning Commission, I am required by TCA to accept your statement of training when we do the annual training. And as everybody knows publicly, we were somewhat lax on our documentation of the training that we actually did have. So I came up with a template, and I sent this template to the Office of public records with the Tennessee Comptroller's Office, and that's the email that I got back, which they stated that it meets all the requirements. The BZA is using the same template, and Secretary Laurel Duke, we put that before the BZA meeting, and we approved this template for the BZA to use. So I would like for us to approve this template, which meets the requirements of TCA regarding the records for training.
I will entertain a motion that we do that.
Accept the template.
Accept the
Yeah.
template.
I make a motion,
All
we
right, Carolyn
accept
makes a
Dennis's
motion.
template.
I'll second.
Randy seconds. Any other discussion? By the way,
There,
thank
you
you.
can use that. You can look
Thank
at
you for
that.
Dennis for doing that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Was this the template?
Motion passes. Any others?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Dennis, second by Carol, and it looks like I don't have to call a vote, everybody's leaving.
Nobody.
Thank
In the
y'all.
future, in the future, this is off board meeting.